Thanks for tuning in to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. Here you'll find tips, insight, and information to help your music and your ministry succeed. Whether you're a singer, a musician, or a songwriter, we want to help you where you are, but we also want to help you get to where you want to go. We believe that our talents are God's gift to us, but what we do with those are our gift back to God. Yesterday's information is important, but what we can learn today will make this the best day yet. Hey everybody, Rob Novell here. Wanted to take just a second to tell you about our next upcoming CNS event. We will have a weekend regional session in Central Florida, February 9th and 10th. Come study vocal, instrumental, songwriting, and so much more. To register and for more information, visit us at www.cnsmusic.com. Hey, Rob Novell here. Welcome back to another episode of the CNS podcast, The Best Day Yet. Thank you so much for taking time out today to be part of this great subject matter today, something that affects all of us, whether we are vocalists, instrumentalists, songwriters, technical people. We are talking practice today. It is vitally important in what we do. And we're going to be getting into that here in a little bit. But hey, up front, you heard the little promo on our next CNS event. We are doing a weekend regional session in Central Florida, February 9th and 10th, and we'd love to have you there with us. Our weekend regionals are a small little glimpse of what we do at the Charles Novell School of Music at our national session each summer at Murray, Kentucky at Murray State University. And we meet on Friday night and Saturday at these weekend regionals, and we go over things like vocal development, vocal range development, vocal hygiene, different tips and things that are going to help you vocally. We talk instrumental things. We talk performance. We have performance training sessions at these weekend regionals. That's where you're going to get up and do what you do. And my staff that will be there with me, we will give you pointers and tips and help you on your performance. Again, what we're looking to do is try to do what we do unto God to the best of our ability. So it's not American Idol. Simon Cowell will not be there. You will not cry. We're going to give you good constructive criticism that's going to help you further your ministries and further what you do for the Lord. So the cost on our weekend regionals is $125. That covers all of the classes and the learning that will take place during Friday night and all day on Saturday. We are going to be in Inverness, Florida at Victory Baptist. That is the home church to our very own Pastor John Groves, who is on our CNS staff. He pastors that church, great church. I've had the privilege of being there several times. I've ministered there, and then I've also just been in attendance for service. Great church, great man of God, and we're really excited about being in Central Florida, Inverness, Florida. The cost does not include lodging on our weekend regionals. If students travel in, they need to make their own lodging accommodations and take care of things on your own there. But there is plenty of places to stay close by there. We do have some information. You can reach out to us via the website, www.cnsmusic.com, or you can email us at the office, which is info@cnsmusic.com. If you have questions, would love to hear from you. There's also a phone number on the website if you wanted to make a phone call out to us, and we can get more information to you. All right, so let's talk about this subject of practice. You know, what I've got today are several quotes from key people that you will know. If you don't know their credentials that I'll read, will back them up. But just a few new little ways to look through these quotes at practice and the importance of practice on our music. And, we're a school of music. The Charles Novell, CNS Best Day Yet podcast deals with musical subjects, but these are quotes that you can apply to any area of your life. Again, we are a school of music. We're all about Christian and gospel music here at CNS. So we are looking at it at that angle today. But I know for me personally, I connect to so many of these because practice has been a huge part of my life. So I was told by someone last year in 23, someone that absolutely had no clue what they were talking about, that I have not had to work for anything that I have achieved in my musical journey. From my time on the road to different groups I've played the quartet convention with, to the studio work that I've done, clear down to now being the active director of the Charles Novell School of Music. I haven't had to work for any of that. That it was all handed to me. I believe the wording was on a silver platter because of my last name. So I paused because I didn't want to laugh out loud on this here podcast. But my point is this: they could not be any further away from the truth. I know the work that Rob has put in over the years. I have had to work my tail end off to get to where I'm at. And you know what? I'm not content here. Every single day, I am trying to learn something new to perfect what I can do unto the Lord. Every single day, that's my drive when I wake up. Before I go to bed tonight, I want to have done something that is going to make me more beneficial to the Lord tomorrow, so I can help reach more people. And y'all, we all we got to do is turn the news on or get on social media. Man, this thing is winding down. I think it ain't going to be long till the screen says game over. There's work for us to do. And we have just got to get about our Father's business and get this message and this gospel out the best that it can be. So for me, my only logical point of resolution, and I have plans, I have dreams, I have goals, there's places I am trying to get. The only thing that I logically can connect my now to my then, to my past, to my future, to everything that God needs me to do is this word of practice. Vitally, vitally important. I try to get in an hour to 2 hours practice every single day. That's not easy. My schedule can get crazy. It's not consistent. I don't practice from, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 to 10 a.m. in the mornings. It's not a consistent time that I practice. And even within that, it's not a full hour practice. I might get a 20-minute spot here and a 15-minute spot there. And then I'm working out the rest of that hour at a later point. And we call that interval practice. And in some ways, that is the most successful way to practice. Instead of sitting down for a solid hour and watching the clock. Because if you do that, that's what you're doing. All you're doing is watching the clock. You're kind of doing your time and waiting for that clock to strike. And I'm done. I got my practice in. So we want to make effective use of our practice time. So let's get into some of these quotes and look, we'll probably expound on a few of them and look at how this can help encourage us in the area of practice. The first quote: practice isn't the thing that you do once you're good. It's the thing you do that makes you good. Again, practice isn't the thing you do once you're good. It's the thing you do that makes you good. This is by Malcolm Gladwell, author. He's an author. Malcolm Gladwell challenges the idea that skill is solely based on talent in his book, The Outliners. Great book. I've heard a lot about this. I'm going to go ahead and publicly endorse it. I do not have this book. I am thinking about getting this book, but we have had podcasts in the past about skill versus talent, and this is a book that totally breaks that down, called The Outliners by Malcolm Gladwell. This quote highlights the importance of continuous practice in achieving excellence. By embracing this learning, individuals can prioritize deliberate practice and work towards mastery in their chosen field. So Practice isn't the thing you do once you're good. You don't wait till you get to a certain point to begin practice. Practice is the thing that makes you good. It's vitally important. We've heard the quote, you play like you practice. That comes from a guy we're going to have a quote from coming up here in a second. I believe in that. We do. We have to play like we practice. Sports teams, we just had the divisional round in the NFL playoffs, and we are there. We are at a point where the teams that are here have not got here because last week all of a sudden they decided to start practicing. Man, these teams put the time in, the effort in on a weekly basis to prepare for 3 hours on Sunday playing the sport of football. So it's not the thing that you do once you get to the playoffs. It's something that you have done that has allowed you to get to that point of the playoffs. This quote's by Joe Paterno. Joe Paterno was the legendary football coach of Penn State, Nittany Lions. The will to win is important, but the will to prepare is vital. Wow. That one, I wish my dad was with us so I could have a conversation about this quote with him. He was all about preparation, and the will to win is important. Yes, we have to have goals. We have to set, we had that at the beginning of January, podcast on setting goals and how to maybe this year successfully achieve those goals. We want to have that kind of carrot on the stick dangling out in front of us, something that we are chasing towards, something that we are moving towards. The will to win is important, yes, but the will to prepare is vital. Again, Joe Paterno was the legendary football coach. This quote underscores the importance of consistent and intentional practice in achieving success. By recognizing the role of preparation, individuals can cultivate discipline and dedicate themselves to the necessary work required for their goals. It's that simple. The will to win is important, but the will to prepare even vitally more important. Next one. This is from John Wooden. I mentioned him earlier. He's the one that said, you play like you practice. Practicing with purpose is the key to progress. Practicing with purpose is the key to progress. This goes hand in hand with what I said, a few minutes ago about maybe interval practice being a more successful approach to your practice. If we're just sitting there letting that clock go, I don't know how much purpose there is to our practice. Again, we're just kind of doing our time. But if I know a little window of 15 or 20 minutes to practice, and how those develop for me, I have over 40 students a week that I teach. Sometimes students will cancel and I'll have a full 30 minutes in between lessons to get some practice in. There's other times if I finish with a student and I go out in the hall and my next student isn't there, man, they've not contacted me. They're just running a few minutes late. You know what? There's times I get 5-10 minutes of practice in, and it's deliberate. I know exactly what I want to be working on in that moment. So that's purpose. That's purpose to our practice. Our next quote here: success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing. That quote is from Pele. Pele was arguably one of the greatest soccer players ever, and it emphasizes the nature of success that comes from his book, his autobiography, My Life in the Beautiful Game. This quote serves as a reminder that success requires a combination of hard work, resilience, continuous learning, and passion. And by embodying these qualities, individuals can increase their likelihood of achieving their goals and finding fulfillment. As I said earlier, man, nobody knows the hard work that Rob has put in. The sacrifice, man, you all, my schedule, my time, what I do, the call on my life, my ministry, everything that makes Rob Novell who Rob Novell is partly sacrifice for my family. Man, my wife, Jen, is an amazing human, an amazing individual because she puts up with me and she puts up with my schedule. Adam, if you are listening, do not email me an amen right there. But no, she's great, you all. Because I have to sacrifice time at times away from the family to do what it is that I am trying to achieve. The other thing that I love here, success is no accident, it's hard work, but it's the love of what you're doing. We've said this before. I think if you're called to do something, you shouldn't endure it. You should enjoy it. And for me, it's easy to practice. Man, we've talked about mindsets and changing our mindsets. For me, it's not I have to practice. It's I get to practice. Man, the older I get, the more I realize at some point, you know what? Fingers, arms, wrist, joints, muscles, they're not going to move as fluently as they have and are currently working for me. So I got to take advantage knowing that every single day is a blessing that I get to use the gifts and the skill set that God has given me. Let's look at the next one. Practice like you've never won, but perform like you never lost. Wow, I love this one. This says the quote is unknown. This quote offers a perspective on the mindset of practice. We just talked about that, the mindset of practice. And it's from a book, The Keys to Success in Life. This quote encourages individuals to approach practice with humility and dedication, regardless of past achievements or failures. It emphasizes the importance of maintaining focus and giving one's best effort. One's best effort. That's huge. That's an ouch. Ultimately leading to improved performance. So practice like you've never won, perform like you've never lost. Meaning, as we prepare, I'll keep it personal again. I have, along the way of things being handed to me on a silver platter, I guess all the awards and the accolades that I have been blessed to achieve along the way were just given to me as well. Hey, I did all this before we got to this everybody gets a trophy mentality. You know, nowadays, everybody gets a trophy. Hey, you participated, here's a trophy. It's like Oprah giving out cars. You get a trophy, and you get a trophy, and nobody again knows the work that I've put in like I do. So that's what it took, and that's what it's taken for me to get this to this point in my life. But you know what? I can't stay there. I can't park there and say, well, you know what? I was once part of a nominated group of the year. I was recently considered for a Dove nomination with Jeff Stice last year. You can't stay there. You've got to allow that to encourage you and push you forward. But at the same time, perform like you've never lost. Man, I mentioned a while back, I had ran across a tape of a performance training session at CNS in 1992, and J.D. Sumner was our guest that day. And he was talking about bass singers and his time in the industry, and he said he knew that there were better bass singers from a talent level than he. However, when he walked out onto the stage, he was the most talented bass singer on that stage. You got to have that level of confidence in what you do to perform like you never lost. Next one here. You can't skip the practice and rely solely on talent. Practice is the bridge between your abilities and success. This quote comes from Steve Nash. Steve Nash was NBA basketball player, played for the Phoenix Suns for years. This highlights the vital role of practice from his biography, The Steve Nash, The Making of an MVP. This quote challenges the idea that talent alone is sufficient for success. By recognizing the value of consistent practice, individuals can harness the natural abilities and maximize their potential. We can't skip practice thinking, I'm good enough, I'm talented enough, I've arrived, I've achieved. We can't do that. Practice is the bridge between the gifts that God has given us, and the success that we can allow Him to let us enjoy. It's the bridge. We've talked about this too. You can't just rely on your abilities or your talent. Just as, and I know I keep coming back to it, but y'all, I'm trying to make a point. The fact that my last name is Novell, yes, that has opened doors for me in my life 100%. Just as maybe your talent can open doors for you. But here's the thing. Once you walk through that open door, if you've not put in the work that's necessary, not only in the music side of your life, but maybe in your attitude, maybe in your thought process, maybe in how you communicate and deal with people, I think we can be our worst enemies at times. We talked earlier too about not parking on your success, but also don't park on your failures. Man, a lot of people, and I have been included in these, a lot of people have failed miserably. My very first, I was talking with someone the other day, one of our students, and we were talking about the audition process. They are wanting to travel full time in gospel music. I relate to that because I was that guy. Growing up, all I ever wanted to do was climb on a bus, travel the country, performing gospel music. That was what I wanted to do. And sharing with them, I felt led just to kind of share my timeline, my path, my story. And it started with a horrible audition in probably around 1987. I got a phone call from a group, and they said, hey, we'd like to speak with Rob Novell. And I'm like, this is he. And they're like, hey, this is so-and-so from such and such group in Branson, Missouri. And we're looking for a piano player. And we understand you are quite the pianist. And my attitude at that point at 17 was, you're right. I am quite the pianist. And I didn't come out and say that to them, but y'all in full transparency mode, that's what I was thinking. And because that's kind of where my heart was at that time. And so they told me about the audition, and it was a little bit out. And as from that day and moving forward, moving closer and closer and closer to the audition date, I'll never forget. I remember my dad saying, Robbie, have you worked the stuff that they asked you to prepare for this audition? And I'm like, no, I'll get to it. And we kept getting closer and closer, and he would check in on me. So it comes time for the audition. We get in the car. Dad loads me up from Cincinnati, Ohio, where we were living, and we drive to Branson, Missouri. And we got out there to that audition, and you all, where I skipped the practice relying solely on my talent and abilities. Yeah, that didn't work out. That did not work out well for me. Not at all. I fell flat on my face. I couldn't have done any worse than I had performed that day. And left there knowing it was bad too. And got in the car. I was upset. I was down. We probably drove 100 miles and didn't say a word. And finally, my dad reached over and he tapped me on the knee and he said, Robbie, let's talk about something. That didn't go too well back there, did it? I said, no, Dad, it didn't. I think I'm leaned against the window crying my eyes out. And he said, you want me to tell you how that's never going to happen to you again? And I'm like, yes, Dad, speak the words of wisdom. I want to hear. And he simply said, next time you'll practice. And man, that was a game changer for me. The individual that auditioned me, I got to speak to that person at NQC 22, and they were standing at my booth and had never had that conversation with that person. I was able to share with them and thank them for how helpful that horrible experience was for me. not only for and how I performed and decided not to on the other side, but in how they handled it and how they followed up with me over the years. Because shortly there, within a couple years, I ran into them again, and it was never brought up, never discussed. In fact, in that conversation at NQC 22, the statement was made, "That was you?" I remember a really bad audition, but Robbie, I don't remember that being you. So practice is the bridge between our abilities and that success. All right, next one. Practice makes perfect. We've heard this one over and over. This is from Vince Lombardi, head football coach of the Green Bay Packers. This dude must have been important because his name is on the current Super Bowl trophy, right? This emphasizes the importance of striving for perfection. But you know what? Practice leading to perfection does lead to what? Our protection. Protection like bombing your audition in Branson, Missouri. This quote underscores the significance of deliberate and focused practice and honing one's skills. It encourages individuals to approach their practice sessions with attention to detail and a commitment to continuous improvement. If we think perfect practice makes perfect, then you know what? We are trying to take the most advantage with our focus of whatever practice time that we are given. Next one here, skill is only developed by hours and hours of work. This is from Lewis Hamilton. Don't know anything about racing, but apparently Lewis Hamilton was a Formula One driver. And this quote serves as a reminder that skill is not acquired overnight, but it's a result of dedicated practice and hard work. By investing significant time and effort, individuals can develop the necessary skills to excel in their respective fields. Let me read that again. By investing significant time and effort, individuals can develop the necessary skills to excel in their respective fields. So at age 17, I left Branson, Missouri. I had that moment with my dad in the car at mile marker 102. This story kind of sums up who my dad was. He knew that I was going to go in there and bomb that audition. But honestly, he loved me enough to drive me from Cincinnati, Ohio to Branson, Missouri for me to learn not only that musical lesson, but that life lesson that, you know what? Rob, you have to work. So on the other side of that, guess what Rob started doing? I started investing significant time and effort. And what did that begin to do? That began to develop me as a musician. That opened the door. I finally got, my chance to climb on that bus and go out there and do what I was called to do. And through that, was able to excel in my respective field and to achieve some level of success. Next quote here. The more you practice, the better you become. The better you become, the more freedom you have to create. This is by a scientist named Richard Gervais, I think. No, I'm sorry. It says Scientific America. He's a comedian. That's funny. I called a comedian a scientist or a scientist a comedian because never mind. So anyway, this underscores the relationship between practice and creativity. This quote emphasizes the nature of practice and its roles in expanding one's creative abilities. By dedicating themselves to regular practice, individuals not only improve their technical skills, but also unlock new levels of creative expression. Y'all, this happens daily. It happened to me actually 2 days ago. I was practicing and doing some things, and I was, there are different, you can't be a teacher if you're not a student. So there are different online courses that I am part of, trying to improve my plan, trying to improve my knowledge of what it is that I do. And in doing so, I like to look at things. I approach things theoretically, and through theory, it allows me to see patterns and different things. It makes it easier for me to learn a concept and then to apply that concept anywhere that I choose to apply it. So through that, what will happen, I might be working on one specific thing, but this area of creativity, I see how that begins to open the doors, and my mind starts to, ooh, well, if I did this, or if I altered this, or I applied this here. So the more you practice, the better you become. The better you become, the more freedom you have to be creative within your music. That one's great. Love that one. A couple more here. The only way you do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. Don't settle. Just stay after it, you all. That's from Steve Jobs. Entrepreneur Steve Jobs encourages individuals to pursue their passions. In his famous address, this was from an address he did at Stanford University. This quote emphasizes the importance of finding fulfillment in one's pursuits. By aligning practice with their passions and interests, individuals can overcome obstacles and achieve great work. All right, the next one here. Another one. This is another one my dad would love. The more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in battle. Wow. I wish I would have known that at age 17, because I did a lot of bleeding in that battle that day. This is from Richard Marcinko, and he was a Navy officer, and it highlights the importance of intense practice and preparation. This quote draws a parallel line between physical exertion and challenges faced in real-life situations. By embracing rigorous practice, individuals can develop resilience, adaptability, and composure to thrive under pressure. I can't tell you the times that I've been in a performance situation that my mind goes back to something that I've worked on in practice. When I'm working with my students and we're prepping and getting to recital season, all the time, I'm like, man, think about that time when you were practicing, when you're out there performing. Think of that practice session that we had or you had. It's going to help you get through that performance. Next quote here, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. We've heard this one. This is from Thomas Edison. Inventor Thomas Edison, with this quote, emphasizes the importance of hard work and effort in creativity and innovation. This quote challenges the notion of genius being solely based on inspirations. By embracing a mindset of continuous work and persistence, individuals can unlock their creative potential and achieve breakthroughs. I know I'm going to butcher this, but if the story hits my memory correct, something like 2,000 times this guy tried to invent the light bulb, and he failed 2,000 times. It was 2001 that light bulb worked. And when asked how he felt about failing 2,000 times, his response, Thomas Edison's response was this: I didn't fail 2,000 times. I just made 2,000 wrong light bulbs. That's perseverance. That is persistence. That is pushing through. And when you do that, you unlock your creative potential, and man, you'll start to achieve your breakthroughs. All right, moving on. Practicing the basics is the foundation for mastering the extraordinary. Golly, I love that. I love that because that word extraordinary, for us, especially in Christian music, man, we serve a supernatural God. And when we connect our natural with his super, man, it is going to lead to supernatural, extraordinary results. And we can look at that the same way with our practice when we focus on what it is that God has called us to do. Man, this quote underscores the necessity of building a strong foundation through diligent practice of the basics. There are times that my practice schedule is just scales and finger exercises. Back to the basics. I feel like that's what I need to be working on at that moment. So by prioritizing the mastery of foundational skills, individuals can unlock potential for extraordinary achievements. Our next one here, success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. This is by Robert Collier. He's an author, and this quote by Robert highlights the power of consistency and persistence in achieving success. This quote serves as a reminder that success is not an overnight occurrence, but man, it's the result of consistent and dedicated efforts. By committing to regular practice and investing in personal growth, individuals can lay the foundations for long-term success. All right, our next one here is stop practicing aimlessly. Have disciplined practice goals and watch yourself soar. This is by Robin Sharma. He's a motivational speaker, and this quote emphasizes the importance of focus. And again, here's this word, intentional practice. He has a book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Never read it. Sounds interesting. The title may have me. I may be getting on Amazon and buying this book later. But this quote encourages individuals to approach practice with discipline and purpose, setting clear goals and objectives. By incorporating this approach into their practice routine, individuals can maximize the power of focused effort and achieve remarkable results. Man, just several quotes there today that I think can really encourage us to understand the importance of practice, to understand that deliberate and focused practice is where we need to be. Man, not just going through the motions and not just letting the clock tick. As when I was a young child, my mom would set me on the piano after school, and she would set the old analog timer on the stove, and Rob did not budge until that timer buzzed. And honestly, you all, the last 15, 20 minutes, I'm just sitting there waiting for that buzzer to go off. But stop practicing aimlessly, have disciplined practice, and watch yourself soar. Man, that is our focus at CNS. We want to see you achieve new levels in your music. We want to watch yourself soar. Listen, I think when you start to understand the importance of practice and maybe start practicing practice within your life, I think you're going to find out on that day, it's going to make it what? Your best day yet. Y'all be blessed. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under the name The Charles Novell School of Music. And for more information on CNS and our upcoming events, like our online school, our weekend regional sessions, our creative coaching, and our pastor's retreat, you can visit us at our website at www.cnsmusic.com. As you've listened to this episode, we hope that you've gained some information that you can apply to your music and to your ministry to make today the best day yet.